All right, welcome back to the channel. So Jermall Charlo praises Deontay Wilder as a pound for pound, one of the pound for pound best fighters in the world. Also says that he believes Tyson Fury will lose, that Deontay Wilder will beat Tyson Fury in the rematch, but gets criticized because he says that he doesn't believe that Tyson Fury cheated Deontay Wilder. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back. So, love talking about this because this is the Southern style of boxing. You have a guy from Louisiana / Texas talking about a guy from Alabama. Now, if you're from the United States, you'll know that those are not necessarily the biggest, boxing centers in the world. Those are more football type of towns. Those are where you see athletes that are more about, getting in the field, and going to war and on a football field, right? Running backs and quarterbacks. And those are the type of guys that come out of their safeties, right? They focus on blitzing and, that type of nonsense, not boxing. But now, for some reason, and I can't really tell you what it is. Maybe it's because, boxing is just such a, as an individual sport, you can earn so much money as an individual in it that it can always be attractive to people. But for some reason, Texas and Alabama have, the best fighters in the world. Heavyweight, the best heavyweight in the United States this century has got to be Deontay Wilder, right? In the last 20 years, who's the last American heavyweight that was better than him? Evander Holyfield, mid Evander Holyfield, something like that, in the early 2000s. But even then, that's very, very questionable whether he's better than Deontay Wilder. And, I know that there are going to be people that don't agree with me, but it's whatever. This is my channel, and what I say goes. And that is who I believe is, or who I name to be, the best heavyweight of this century, American heavyweight of this century. The only other person that I believe, the other two people that I believe could be considered with him are Vitaly Klitschko and Lennox Lewis. Not a big fan in Vladimir Klitschko because Vladimir Klitschko never had to fight Vitaly. But that's just how I see it. And he got chinned, knocked unconscious multiple times. Vladimir Klitschko, I think, is a beneficiary of a lot of favoritism that I believe is now being used by other fighters like Tyson Fury, not necessarily Anthony Joshua, but definitely Tyson Fury, with that whole throw punches past you, knowing you're going to miss so you can jump on somebody's back and just lay on top of them and push them down and do all that nonsense. Anyway, I say all that to say that Deontay Wilder, in my opinion, that's who he is. So you have Jermall Charlo, who is the best 160 pounder in the world. And I think that that's fair to say because nobody wants to fight him, right? The Mexican doesn't want to fight him, so Mexico don't want no smoke with him. Who else doesn't want no smoke with him? Out east in Demetrius Andrade, I don't care what people say, duck Jermall Charlo, so he don't want to smoke with him. We'll see if Gennady Golovkin does. The guy from Kazakhstan, he should, seeing as he in a lot of ways is frozen out. He should want to fight Jermall Charlo. We'll see if he does or if he doesn't. Jermall Charlo, in some interviews that was interview that was given by ES News, said that he believes some big things were going to be coming for him. He didn't want to announce him yet. So, I'm going to guess and just say, if I was buying the fight that I would buy would be Gennady Golovkin. I think that would be a wonderful fight for him, right? So if he's able to get that, or if he's able to, say, get Ray Mayorta or somebody to fight for the WBC, the vacant WBA belt that was vacated by Canelo, so he can once again duck Jermall Charlo, whoever gets that, that's who Jermall could be fighting. But again, you have a renaissance, or is a golden era actually, in Southern boxing in the United States. So it's wonderful to even have this conversation about, what Jermall is going to do and what Deontay Wilder is going to say and what they think about each other. Because I do think it's very important that in a boxing political sense, that the South bond with one another, right? And that they support one another, right? Similar to the way, and I'm going to do a video later today about how important it is for the East Coast. Like, excuse me, my nose is itchy. Like the East Coast, the Baltimore and DC, for those guys to come together and have a great fight between Gervonta Davis and excuse me, I'm sorry, just these allergies are just on my nose. And we'll make sure that I have it right for the next video. Excuse me, all kind of stuff just flying in the air with these lights. I just see all kind of dust flying, all kind of, it's just like a big pile of smoke around me all the time. Sorry, and it gets in my nostrils and it gets stuffed up. It makes me have to sneeze and, all that. Sorry about it, but I don't want to edit or cut any of that stuff out. I appreciate you having patience with me. Now, moving forward in the conversation, though, you get my point. You have the state of Louisiana, the state of Texas, you have the state of Alabama, which should also bring in like Arkansas and all of that in this just wonderful conversation about boxing. So what does Jermall Charlo say? I don't believe that Deontay Wilder should be a pound for pound guy. I don't think that there's any comparison, right, between him and little itty bitty guys that he'll just stomp out. So what's the need for a pound for pound anyone? He's just pound. You know what I mean? That's just what he is. So Jermall thought that he deserves to be pound for pound. I don't necessarily think that. I think that's an insult to Deontay Wilder, but it is what it is. But then he also said that he believes that Deontay Wilder can beat Tyson Fury in the rematch. Also very good. I think that when I buy my ticket to go to that fight, because that fight should be happening or will be happening, that fight, Deontay Wilder is going to knock out Tyson Fury, because Tyson Fury doesn't have the ability to cheat anymore, because everybody's going to be looking at him, and it's almost going to be like virtually he's got one hand tied behind his back, right? And also there's a way karma works. When you do people wrong, people have the right to do you wrong, right? That's just what it is, because what you said was wrong was right to you. You obviously Tyson Fury thinks it's right to have ridiculously unfair advantages. So I'm sure the way karma works, Deontay Wilder will have some ridiculously unfair advantages going into this next fight, whether that just be spiritually, the well wishes of people like myself and other people that believe in him and believe that he was cheated. And that leads me to my next point, the people that disagree with Jermall Charlo, when Jermall Charlo says, hey, he didn't buy Deontay Wilder's quote unquote excuses. Now, I wish that he would do a little bit more, research into what, Deontay Wilder's gripes are, right? And look to see whether or not there really is something that's owed to Deontay Wilder that should be paid, right? Like, for example, honoring a rematch clause that you agreed to, right? And not trying to skip out of the contract and try to get out of it based on some nonsense like, oh, it expired, right? I would think that Jermall would at least look into that and see why it is that that Deontay Wilder feels like he was mistreated. Now, that's not to say that Deontay Wilder doesn't have his own responsibilities in it. He has guys in his camp like JDs that obviously didn't check the gloves and catch it. That needs to be something that Deontay Wilder handles within his team, within his family, right? And that's not necessarily something that Jermall Charlo needs to be concerned with. Jermall Charlo can just say, hey, man, look, big man, you got to whoop this dude next fight. It is what it is, Maybe Jermall gets cheated. He's definitely getting ducked, But anyway, that's my take on the matter. I don't have any problem with what Jermall Charlo had to say about Deontay Wilder, and I hope that these two guys have a bond together and say, hey, man, maybe we should fight on the same card. Maybe we should find a way to make money with one another, inside of the ring, outside of the ring, build the thing for the future. They both said that they're interested in, in building empires with one another, and making something for their kids where their kids can have, generational wealth. Hey, well, the first thing, you can't actually fight in the ring because the size differential, but you can support each other in spirit. in the ring, and it seems like that's what Jermall Charlo was doing, and I commend him for that. Anyway, that's my take on the matter. You have the right to have your own, but you just have to get your own channel. This is mine. Anyway, it is what it is, and with that, I'm out. Peace.